Long before the internet, before high definition, even before DVD menus, there was VHS. And if you were a teenager in the 80s with a VCR, chances are you wore out your copy of Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Or more specifically, you wore out one infamous scene. You know the one. Phoebe Cates, a red bikini, slow motion, the cars moving in stereo. And boom, the most paused moment in VHS history. But here's the twist. The scene that launched 1,000 rewind buttons was never meant to define her. In fact, Phoebe Cates hated what came after. Fast Times at Ridgemont High wasn't just a teen comedy. It was a cultural turning point, disguised as a high school movie. Directed by Amy Heckerling and written by a then-young music journalist named Cameron Crowe, it began as a social experiment. Crowe had gone undercover at a San Diego high school, pretending to be a student, and from that, wrote a book that would become the screenplay. It was raw, real, and packed with personalities that felt lived in because they were, based on real students Crowe had met. The film follows a mosaic of characters over the course of a school year. Stacy Hamilton, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, is a 15-year-old trying to figure out sex, love, and everything in between. She gets bad advice from her more experienced friend Linda Barrett, played by Phoebe Cates, who radiates confidence and allure, even if she's faking it. Then there's Mark Ratner, Brian Backer, the shy ticket taker who pines for Stacy, and his slick-talking friend, Damone, Robert Romanus, who gives terrible advice with unearned swagger. Meanwhile, Stacy's older brother Brad, Judge Reinhold, navigates humiliating job losses and heartbreak, and Sean Penn's Jeff Spicoli, the stoned surfer, battles his history teacher, Mr. Hand, in a clash of chaos and authority. Casting this ensemble was like catching lightning in a bottle. Jennifer Jason Leigh brought a painfully honest vulnerability to Stacy, a role that required her to be emotionally naked as well as physically. Sean Penn, then a relatively unknown actor, went full method as Spicoli, never breaking character, even off camera. He reportedly had his dressing room labeled Spicoli and insisted the crew only call him that. Judge Reinhold, who was trying to break out from supporting roles, found in Brad a character both comical and tragically relatable. And then there was Phoebe Cates, a model-turned-actress who took a risk in playing Linda. Let's talk about that pool scene. On the surface, it plays like a sex fantasy, and that's exactly what it is. It's not real. It's in Brad's head. In the scene, Linda steps out of the pool in slow motion, tosses her wet hair back and removes her top. It's a teenage boy's fantasy. Because it is a teenage boy's fantasy. The twist is, it cuts back to reality, where Brad is, well, let's just say, caught in the act. It's played for laughs, but the impact of the visual stuck, and not just stuck, obsessed generations. VHS made it easy to rewind and pause, and that scene became legendary. Rental copies were worn out at that exact moment. It topped magazine lists of the most paused scenes ever. Even modern YouTube compilations cite it as the freeze frame of the 80s. But for Cates, the experience wasn't empowering. According to interviews and behind-the-scenes accounts, she felt misunderstood and reduced to a moment of male fantasy. Cameron Crowe once told her people thought she was great for a model, and that stung. She had acting chops. She had range. But the media latched onto her body, not her talent. The production wasn't exactly scandal-ridden, but it had its tension. Amy Heckerling, in her directorial debut, was one of the few female directors working in Hollywood comedy at the time. She had to fight for her vision in a genre largely dominated by male directors. Studio executives were nervous about the frank depictions of teen sex, drug use, and abortion. Several scenes were trimmed, and the film teetered dangerously close to getting an X rating. But Heckerling and Crowe were determined to present adolescence as it really was. Confusing, sometimes grimy, often hilarious, and always hormonal. The film also marked early screen time for future stars like Nicolas Cage, then still Nicolas Coppola, Forrest Whitaker, and Eric Stoltz. Cage was so determined to land a part, he lied about his age and auditioned under a fake name to avoid the nepotism stigma. He ended up with a tiny role as a fast food worker. Blink and you'll miss him. But for the actors who had bigger roles, Fast Times became either a breakout or a burden. Critics were split on the film's release in 1982. Roger Ebert dismissed it as crude and tasteless, awarding just 2 stars. He criticized the film's sexual content as exploitative, failing to recognize its satirical intent. Other critics, like Janet Maslin at the New York Times, praised its authenticity. Over the years, though, the movie's reputation climbed. What was once seen as a raunchy teen flick slowly earned recognition for its deeper honesty and strong performances. The Criterion Collection even added it to their library, and it was preserved by the Library of Congress in the National Film Registry. As for Phoebe Cates, she did a few more films, Gremlins, Paradise, Drop Dead Fred, but eventually stepped away from the spotlight. She married Oscar-winning actor Kevin Kline, had 2 children, and opened a boutique in Manhattan called Blue Tree. Unlike many of her peers, she didn't cling to the fame or try to recapture it. She let it go. But that one scene followed her everywhere. Even now, it's the first thing people mention. Not her performance, not her comic timing, just the bikini. Ironically, the scene was never meant to be real. It was a parody of objectification, a teen boy's ridiculous imagination. And yet, it became exactly what it was mocking. That's the paradox of Fast Times. It's both a critique and a celebration of youth. It's real and it's exaggerated. It's funny and sad. Just like being a teenager. So next time someone hits pause, remember what came before and what came after. Behind the rewind button was a young actress trying to be taken seriously, and a director trying to tell the truth about adolescence. The scene may be iconic, but the story behind it is what really lingers. Now it's time to hear from you. Did Fast Times at Ridgemont High capture your teenage experience or miss the mark? And do you think the pool scene overshadowed the film's deeper messages? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.